I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us what connection you have to Philadelphia.
Okay, my name is Betty Harrison Baker, and I actually was raised here, lived here up until 1976 probably, was when I moved to Alabama. But I went to school here at Philadelphia. Grammar school was what it was called then, 1st through 8th grade. And then when I went to high school in Loudon, I came here to catch the bus every morning to go to the high school. Yes.
What would you like to share with us about the creek, and how did it affect your life?
It affected my life in a big way. I lived right down the street at the corner on the four-way stop, and so the creek ran right up at the back of our property was at the creek.
Yeah.
So the back of our property, my dad had a huge garden at the back, and the creek was helpful in that we were able to water the garden from the creek. But when the creek flooded, it was really a big issue. Now, I remember the creek flooded back in my early childhood that I don't have a lot of memories of. But the last real memory that I have of the creek flooding big time was I was probably 8th or 9th grade. And the creek flooded, and the water came all the way up to our house and actually ran in the windows of our house.
Wow.
So at that time, and as well as a lot of other houses in the town, and certainly all around us, and so we would watch when it started raining like that. There was always a concern because the creek was subject to flood. So when it would start raining really heavy and do that for a number of days, when we saw the creek rising, and when it got to a certain point on our property, my dad would start bringing cinder blocks in, and we would set our furniture up, all that we could set up to get it out of the water. Because, like I said, it would come at that last time that I remember, it got so high it came in the windows into the house. And the creek flooded because back in the years ago, and when I was a child, and before, even before I was born, the creek got pretty filled up with just trash. People would, for some reason, they would throw old refrigerators in the creek.
Wow.
They would throw just things they didn't need into the creek, and it got filled with a lot of trash, which it couldn't flow good. And when we had that much rain, the waters would start rising. So, but when the house flooded, a lot of people would get motorboats and ride down the streets in motorboats to help people get out of their homes, because a lot of people would think they could, ride it out or stay in their home, and then before you know it, and it would do it just quickly. It would rise just quickly. And so they would have to get boats and get maybe older people out of their homes that couldn't get out. Then at that point, we were always able to get out because we started setting our furniture up, and then my dad would always make sure me and my mother was out before it got into our house. And then my dad he had waders that he would wade the creek and wade out and wade in at times to just check on things in the house. But when when the rain stopped, it didn't go down immediately. It actually would you would think it was going to be okay, and then it would rise again before it would go down. And so it was usually a few days before we could get back into our house to start cleaning up. And when cleanup started, that was really a hard project, because it would leave all through the house a real sticky mud.
Oh.
All over the floors, all over the bottom of anything that we couldn't set up. And it was a major chore to get all of that cleaned out before we could actually start living back in the house. But you know, Philadelphia has always been a wonderful community. I can't think of anywhere I would have rather grown up than right here. And when I grew up, the community was just a big family. And when that happened, they came together. People would come and help us clean up and get ready to get back in the house. The Red Cross always came through and helped people that lost everything. Now, when we knew it was going to flood, my mother took our bedclothes and everything we could and put them up high, you know, so we usually could just wash everything and be good. But there was people that lost everything, and so the Red Cross would come and they would help people to recover. But after that last time that I remember of the flooding, I don't know if you knew, or you might be a little young to know Roy Bledsoe. He was
Heard of him in our interviews.
Okay, he was the mayor in Philadelphia, and Roy Bledsoe was a wonderful mayor and a wonderful person. He cared about Philadelphia, he cared about the people, and he really was a major player in getting the creek fixed. And when I say fixed, they had to pass funds to be used to, the creek had to be cleaned out, literally cleaned out. And when they started the clean out of the creek, they actually found an old car in the creek. So you can see why it flooded in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But anyway, they came in, they cleaned out the creek, and they straightened it rather than letting it, you know, have so many turns and twists in it, which helped also for it to flow better.
Right.
And so Roy was a huge part of that. And so they was down at the bridge there where you go across the creek. They were there working for a long time, cleaning out. They built the new bridge, and my dad went every day. The workers used to say my dad came and supervised every day, because he would go every day to see the progress of the bridge and the creek. And he was so excited about it. And he got cancer and died in March of '84. And the bridge and the creek clean out wasn't completed until it was either sometime in late '84 or early '85, and I'm not positive about which, but they had a dedication after they got it completed, and they invited my mom and me, and my husband went to the dedication over at Hiwassee College, and they had a lot of pictures of my dad down at the creek. Yes, it was really a good memory for us. But yeah, I mean, a lot of families in Philadelphia was affected by the flood.